to Bright English Pod. It's really nice to have you here with us today. If you're new, I'm Emma. I live near the coast, and I work as a freelance illustrator. An illustrator is someone who draws pictures for books, websites, and little stories. And if you've been listening for a while, it's great to have you back with us again.
And I'm Jack. I'm an English tutor, which means I help people learn and practice English. I also really enjoy evening walks because the cool air helps me think. And today's topic is one I think a lot of people will enjoy. We're talking about how to talk about your home in simple, natural English.
Yeah, I actually love this topic because home is such a personal thing. And, when learners try to talk about their home, they sometimes feel nervous because they think they need big words. But really, simple words work perfectly.
Exactly. Most people describe their homes using very normal, everyday language. You don't need complicated vocabulary like architecture or aesthetic. You can just say simple things like, my home is small, or my home is bright, or my home has 2 rooms.
Yes. And honestly, that kind of description sounds more natural anyway. So maybe we can guide our listeners, step by step, through the kind of things they can say about their homes.
Good idea. And if you're listening, remember, you don't need fancy words, just clear, simple English. You can talk about the size, the rooms, the feeling, the location, things like that.
Right. So maybe we start with location, where your home is, because that's usually the first thing people want to know. And you can use very simple sentences like, I live near the city, or I live in a quiet area, or I live by the sea.
Like you do.
Exactly. I live near the coast. Very simple. And sometimes people ask me, do you live in a house or an apartment? And I just say, in a small apartment with a sea view. Simple words, but people understand instantly.
And I live in a small house near a park. Nothing fancy, but it's comfortable. Comfortable means it feels nice and relaxing.
I love that word. Comfortable. It's simple, but it tells you a lot about how you feel in the place.
Yes. And feelings are important when you describe your home. You can say, it feels cozy, which means warm and safe. Or, it feels bright, meaning there's a lot of light.
Or, it feels peaceful, meaning quiet and calm. That's one I use a lot.
Speaking of peaceful, your home really does feel peaceful. I remember last time I visited, you had that soft sea breeze coming in through the window.
Oh yeah, a breeze is a light wind. And I think the breeze makes the home feel alive, you know?
I agree. This is a good example for our listeners. When you describe your home, you don't have to talk only about the physical rooms. You can talk about the feeling too.
Yes, like, my home feels warm, or my home feels friendly, or my home feels quiet. These are great simple expressions.
Now let's talk about rooms. You can describe them in very basic ways. For example, I have a kitchen, a living room, one bedroom, and a bathroom. That's enough for a clear picture.
And you can add small details like, my kitchen is small but bright, or my bedroom has a big window. These are easy sentences.
Exactly. No need for complicated adjectives like spacious. You can just say big or wide. Or instead of minimalistic, you can say simple.
I like simple. My home is definitely simple.
Mine too. Actually, my living room is probably the simplest place in the world. I have a sofa, a rug, a small table, and a lamp. That's it.
A rug is like a small carpet, right?
Yes. A soft piece of material on the floor. Perfect for keeping your feet warm.
Nice. See, listeners, even talking about a rug can be simple. You just describe what it is.
Exactly. And you can describe colors easily, too. My wall is white. My sofa is brown. My curtains are blue.
Curtains are the cloth pieces that hang by your window.
Yes, thank you. And you can say if something is old or new. My table is old but strong. My kitchen is new and clean.
I like that. Old but strong. Sounds like my favorite mug.
Do you want to talk about your home a bit? Give listeners a model?
Sure. Okay, let me think. I live in a small apartment near the coast. It has one bedroom, a small living room, a kitchen, and a bathroom. My favorite part is the window in the living room because I can see the sea from there. The place feels bright and calm, and I love having my drawing table by the window.
Perfect example. Simple words, but very clear. And listeners can copy this kind of structure.
Maybe you can give one too.
All right. I live in a small house near a park. It has 2 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and a bathroom. My favorite part is the living room because it gets warm light in the evening. The house feels quiet and comfortable, and I like going for walks near the park after dinner.
Nice. And I think these examples show that you don't need difficult language to talk about your home. It's more about being honest and simple.
Yes. And if you want to describe something inside your home, like furniture, you can use very basic words. Furniture means things like tables, chairs, beds, and shelves.
Oh, I love shelves. They hold my art books. I have a small wooden shelf next to my desk.
Wooden means made of wood.
Right. And you can describe things by material, wooden, metal, glass. Very simple.
Exactly. And you can explain if you don't know the right word. For example, I have a thing you sit on. It's like a small sofa. People will understand you mean a chair or maybe a small couch.
I do that all the time, even in English. Sometimes I forget a word, so I describe it. And that's completely normal and fluent.
Yes. Fluency doesn't mean knowing every word. It means finding a way to keep talking.
Let's talk about how your home makes you feel. That's something many learners forget to mention. For example, my home makes me feel relaxed, or my home makes me feel safe.
Or, my home makes me feel calm after a long day. These emotional sentences help you sound more natural.
Yes, and safe is a really common word. Simple, but very meaningful.
Now, what about talking about changes? Sometimes people want to say what they want to change in their home.
Oh, yes. You can use simple expressions like, I want to paint the walls, or I want to make the room brighter, or I want to buy a new table.
Or, I want more space. Very simple, very clear.
Exactly. You don't have to say, I want to renovate my home. That's okay too. But I want to change my home is easier.
Yes. Renovate means make big changes, but you can keep it simple.
I think listeners might want to know how to describe the area around their home too.
Good point. You can say, my area is quiet, or my area is busy, or my area has many shops, or my area is close to nature.
Or, there are many restaurants near my home. Or, there is a bus stop near my house.
Yes, there is and there are very helpful for describing surroundings.
Exactly. Simple and super useful.
Let's do a small mini story each. Something about a home we lived in before.
Okay. When I was younger, I lived in a small house with yellow walls. I remember the kitchen very well because it had this old table that made a funny sound when you touched it. The house was simple but full of warm light. I felt safe there.
I like that story. I once lived in a tiny apartment when I was a student. Tiny means very small. I shared it with a friend, and the walls were very thin, so we could hear people talking outside. But it felt friendly, and we cooked simple meals together.
Nice. I think many stories like that help listeners understand how to talk about memories of home too.
True. And they show that simple stories can be meaningful.
If you're listening right now, maybe think about your home. How would you describe it with simple words?
Yes. You can imagine you're talking to us. You could say, "My home is," and start with location, then size, then rooms, then feelings.
And don't worry if your sentences are short. Short sentences are great.
Very great, actually.
I think we should give listeners a few useful simple phrases.
Okay, but let's keep them in natural speech. No lists.
Right. So things like, my home has, or my room is, or I like my home because.
Or my favorite place in my home is. That one is really helpful.
Yes. And I live near is also a good expression.
Simple tools for smooth conversation.
Exactly. And smooth means easy and natural.
Before we finish, do you want to give one final thought about talking about your home?
Sure. My final thought is, keep your words simple and honest. Your home is personal, so simple words are enough to show your feelings.
I like that. And my final thought is, practice describing your home out loud. Even 5 minutes a day will help your fluency.
That's a good tip. Well, I think that brings us to the end of today's episode of Bright English Pod.
Yes, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
If you enjoyed this, we'd really appreciate it if you like the video and share it with your friends.
And don't forget to subscribe to Bright English Pod so you don't miss future episodes.
Thanks again for listening.
Take care, and we'll talk to you next